Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Thursday. I'm JustinFREAKIN, and you know the way we start the show. It is reefer and a rant. Today I'm smoking out of my Helix Chillum. I promise you, on this show, I will never, ever, ever do any kind of advertising. I am a pure creative. I will not take advertising dollars unless it's from a head shopper, marijuana related product line. This would be the perfect place for me to plug a marijuana related product on my show, which is the only advertising I will ever do on any of my shows. Welcome to the Troll Patrol. I'm smoking Pineapple Express. I've started asking, some people on the stream have been asking me what I've been smoking, so I've been starting to ask my guy what he's been giving me. This is Pineapple Express. I'm smoking out of a Helix Chillum. Now, for today's rant. Everyone knows I think right-wingers are morons. But there is something right-wingers absolutely obsess over, and I don't understand it. They are constantly making remarks about my cats. Single with 3 cats. Who has cats at 40 and single? They are constantly remarking about my cats. Oh, that's a different one. We're going to have to come back to that here in a little bit. They are constantly talking about the fact that I have cats. So much so that on my Facebook profile, I actually went and changed my biography to I don't live in my parents' basement, dumb fuck, because that is constantly what right-wingers are saying to me. Oh, you must live in your parents' basement. Get out of your parents' basement. It is fucking all I ever hear from them. And then they talk about my cats. I don't understand why. And the guy I just showed you, he called me a cat fucker. I did the weird places that the right-wing mind go to just boggle me. Cat fucker. What? This is a joke, by the way. I'm a comedian. I'm a middle-aged man who lives alone with 3 cats. It's supposed to be funny. I'm taking the critique that the right wing always has of me and I'm turning it on its head, making fun of it. But since it triggers right-wingers so fucking much that I have cats, let's meet my cats, shall we? This is Socrates, or Socks for short. He was already named Socks when I got him. He's about 10 years old. I've had him for about 5 years now. All my cats are rescued. They were all facing imminent shelter life, to which I stepped in and said, So Socks is my best fucking friend. This is the cat that sleeps right here on my shoulder every night. I love this cat, Socrates. Fitting name. He's called Socks for obvious reasons. He's a tuxedo cat. It looks like he has socks on his paws. A little bit unoriginal of a name. All of them I had to tweak with the names a little bit. So Socrates, Socks for short. Love my little buddy. This was Smokey, obviously. Gray cat, Smokey, very common. He is now known as Smokey Bong. Mr. Bong. He's very loud. He likes to go outside a lot. I think he's out on the patio right now. Sometime during the show, he will probably knock on the door, and I'll have to go over and let him in. Yes, by the way, if you didn't notice, my shirt says, "Show me your kitties." Because I love fucking cats, man. Why do you have a problem with that? I used to go to the shelter, and I would pet the older cats, not to adopt them. I had to. This was when I was in college. I couldn't have a cat, and we had the college cat, but I would go to the shelter, and I would pet the older cats, and then I'd go pick out an older doggy, and I'd take him for a walk. It was something that my girlfriend at the time that we liked to do. Because, like, I fucking love cats, man. They're so cool. And look at this motherfucker. Smokey is so fucking cool. If you tuned in for the RNC coverage, you noticed that he sat in my lap most of the time. And he tried to get... he is a very talkative cat, but for some reason, every time he gets up in my lap when I'm broadcasting, he will not talk into the microphone. I've caught him on camera making some noise a few times. But usually he's a fucking shy motherfucker, and I don't know why, because he yells all the time. He just runs through the house like fucking crazy ass cat. And usually he's very docile. I think the other cats tend to he's like the sloppy party bottom. Like the other cats kind of dominate him and he goes limp and shit. I think he's very much a sub, but and he's very docile. He's usually just chilling, right like you see him on the couch right there. But if one of them is going to fly by your head at 100 miles an hour for no fucking reason out of nowhere, it's that one. He's wild sometimes. Absolutely wild. And then this one, Smokey is probably about, I got him when he was about 3. I've had him about 5 or so. He's probably getting 7 or 8. Because I don't know their exact ages. I know they were strays that were they were cared for strays that somebody took in. And they were going to have to go to the shelter. So I took them in. And then the last one is Maynard. His owner was going to have to give him up and had no place to take him. His name's Maynard. My favorite artist is Maynard James Keenan. So this, I retweet his name just a little bit. His name was Maynard is the reason why I got him, but he's now known as Maynard James Kitten. So I'm a huge fan of Maynard James Keenan. And fuck you motherfuckers with your coronavirus, you right-wingers out there passing it around like the Sturgis super spreader event. That's the reason why I can't go to concerts. I have seen Maynard James Keenan in concert every year for the past 5 years, and I was going to see him again this year at Bonnaroo, and you fuckers ruined it for me. And I'm pissed. I'm very pissed. So this rant turned into something completely else. I'm pissed that you motherfuckers have fucked around with the coronavirus and caused me to not be able to go to fucking concerts and see Maynard James Keenan for the 5th fucking year in a row. Stupid ass right-wingers. If we had just locked down, everybody wore masks, we'd be fine. We'd be fine right now. We'd be going back to concerts. I'd still get to see Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds next month. I would have seen Faith No More in Atlanta last month. Thank you, stupid fucking right-wingers. So that's going to bring us to our top story that we're going to talk about. Wait, I need to open up the phone lines just in case. We might take a phone call. We might not even get into our top story. Yesterday, my good friend was wanting me to tackle the Bob Woodward audio. I do indeed have the audio queued up. Because we were talking about coronavirus. And that's another story I want to talk about is all the teachers that are dying. Like, we've had multiple teacher deaths going on. Like, this fall is going to be a shit show. Not just because of the election, but because of all the people that are going to fucking die because we can't get coronavirus under control. I've already had somebody trying to call in. 917-830-4359. Phone lines are now open. Or we can talk about Trump and Bob Woodward. Oh, I think I've already got the YouTube audio pulled up. because this was the big story. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. So this was from the Hill's coverage this morning.
And so what was President Xi saying yesterday?
Well, we were talking mostly about the virus, and I think he's going to have it in good shape. But it's a very tricky situation.
Indeed,
it goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. The touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But
so this is February 7th. He's saying the opposite publicly. Like he didn't even start even acknowledging this was a serious problem until into April. This is February 7th. And also one of the things that's striking about this audio is he's decently well spoken. Like he has a grasp of the situation, which was weird to me.
But the air, you just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. People don't realize we lose 25,000, 30,000 people a year here.
He's right. Holy shit.
Well, who would ever think that, right?
I know. It's
pretty amazing. And then I say, well, is that the same thing? This is more deadly. This is 5 per... this is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%. So
he got the numbers right. The actual fatality rate has been between 3 and 6%. He got the numbers exactly right. And remember, there are still people today, the callers that have called in the last couple of days, are disputing the coronavirus death rate. Trump knew it in February. The government knew what was going on. Don't bitch about the CDC lying to you. Like it's been an absolute disaster because the head of the federal government is I don't even know, because at this point that audio shows he's more competent than I was giving him credit for. I thought he was way further out there than that. He actually knows the numbers. He actually has a grasp on things. I would have never thought. Now he's just regurgitating what people were telling him, because what's up, home skillet? But it's still it amazes me that he has that kind of grasp on the topic. It's surreal. But now, one of the things, this is a perspective you're not going to get from anybody else in the media, that I'm going to ask about this, isn't this Bob Woodward's second book of the Trump administration? Didn't he already do an interview with Trump, and Trump tried to discredit him when he wrote his first book? Am I wrong about that? I'm going to have to look that up. Hold on a second. Because I'm pretty sure we've already had a Bob Woodward book. Let me just... Because it's hard to look at the Google results, or Bing in this case for me, because it's dominated by the new book. So I want to look at like his what was his last book? Fear, Trump in the White House. I was correct. Released in 2018. Can I go back to a time period? Hey, whoever was trying to call in, you're welcome to try to call in again. 917-830-4359. The phone lines are open. I wanted to be able to get my rant out before somebody called me. So yes, Bob Woodward released a book called Fear, Trump in the White House in 2018. Star Moon pill your audience. That's interesting. We have a call. Caller, you're on the Troll Patrol live. What's going on?
Hello?
Hello, you're on the Troll Patrol live. What's going on?
I've recently had a relative call in, and I just kind of wanted to call in and hopefully clarify a little better that I don't understand your stance against Trump.
My stance against Trump. Interesting. That's a loaded topic right there. I mean, I was just playing the audio where he knew exactly what the fatality rate of the coronavirus was. He's downplayed it, and he's still lying to you to this day. But yet he knew how dangerous it was.
I don't see it that way myself.
But like, are you looking at the screen right there? Like, it's Trump's exact words. This is deadly stuff. February 7th, 2020.
It's like my cousin Michael Ray. My name is Ray, by the way.
You don't have to tell your names. I don't want, like, you know, there's some bad people out there. I don't want them coming and fucking with you.
Well, it's just a simple fact that I don't understand why it seems to be like a hit job on Trump.
What do you mean a hit job?
Well, I mean, like, basically every time you start your Troll Patrol, it seems like a basic hit job on Trump.
I honestly don't think I talk about Trump all that much. I mean, relative to how omnipresent he is in the news and in current events. I mean, is it really my fault he's doing stupid shit all the time?
But is he?
Yes! We just got the audio that proved that he knew exactly how deadly the coronavirus was and downplayed it. He lied to the American people.
I mean, look, obtained by CNN. I mean, that's absolute fake news.
It's Trump's own voice, man.
You can do anything you want to these days. You can manipulate anything.
It's his voice. And I was just giving him props about how intelligent he sounded in the audio.
I don't believe it comes from CNN. I know that much.
Well, I mean, CNN wasn't the source. Bob Woodward was the source.
Well, I mean, how many presidents have talked to Bob Woodward?
All of them.
Yeah, and it never turns out good for any of them.
I don't particularly. I don't know. I couldn't tell you, like, back in the 90s what happened. So, I mean, it never turns out well for them, and they keep talking to him. So how stupid are... And that was the point I was making when you called in, was that this is Bob Woodward's second book of the Trump administration. So the first book came out, and Trump tried to attack Bob Woodward and call him and tell him how, like, discredit him, and yet he's still talking to him in 2020. So how stupid does that make Trump?
I mean, he's burnt Obama. He's burnt Bush.
So but what does that say about Trump, though? That means he's really fucking stupid, though, doesn't it?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, like, I don't even think this is real.
What don't you think is real?
This whole interview right here. And it's like this guy says here in the corner, it's deep fake.
Derp fake, he says. Wait a minute. How can it not be real? If people are commenting, if I'm talking to you and people are commenting and you're watching it, how can it not be real?
I just think a whole lot of your stuff is just absolute asinine.
Would you like to give examples, please?
Well, yeah. I mean, you got a mirror?
Yes, I do. I mean, I brushed my hair before I came out here. I knew there was the possibility of 2, maybe 3 people seeing me, so I did brush my hair. I do have a mirror. Yes. I put my bandana on, straight.
I mean, you come out here looking like a hippie.
I do look like a hippie, don't I?
I mean,
care if this hippie takes it?
Type hippie, but yeah, you look like a hippie.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Do you want to argue about something?
Not really. I kind of got gas.
You say you just got out of jail?
I said I got gas. Well, who do you think I am?
I don't know. I don't know who you are. You called me.
Well, I just think you're full of shit. And on top of that,
a
you
lot
ain't
of
worth
people.
the shit.
You don't think I'm worth the shit? Is that it? Did he hang up? Are you still there? That was an interesting call. If I had to guess, I'd say his name was Peavy. He's lying to you folks. He thinks I'm fake. He thinks CNN's fake. I say Trump's fake. How would you... Here we go again. Caller, you're on the Troll Patrol. Live. What's going on?
How do I follow that call?
I don't know, man. How are you going to follow that call?
Who knows, man? We're going to have to talk about something crazy.
Are you gonna get it all musky in here? Is that what's going on?
Maybe it needs to get a little bit musky up in here.
I want to raise the level of the conversation a little bit.
We're going to raise it all the way into outer space, man.
So, I understand you want to talk about space, but like, let's start off the thing I've asked everybody else that's called in. Are you voting for Trump?
Sure. I'm torn, man. I'm torn, and that's part of why I'm calling in to talk to you. I'll say I'm undecided at this point. I'm undecided who I'm voting for president.
Where are you leaning?
Well, as you were mentioning, space is a big point for me. So, looking at their records, basically Biden hasn't done a whole lot. NASA didn't do that great under Vice President Biden.
No.
And at least
not.
Trump's not getting in the way of what NASA's trying to do now. I mean, we got a plan to go back to the moon, onto Mars. We're working with private industry. I mean, things are going pretty well. But then on the other hand, Trump's just a divisive human being. So
pretty much a piece of shit.
How are we gonna accomplish the things we need to accomplish if we're all fighting each other?
So I'm taking it you like the idea of the Space Force.
I actually do, man. Yeah, that was a move he made. I thought it needed to happen. Yeah, definitely. I don't think it was his idea. I think the military already wanted to do it, and when they realized that he wasn't going to get in the way or push back, and that it was something he could kind of hang his hat on, I think they went for it, and
he was like, Space Force,
helped pave the way. Yeah, basically. Yeah. He's out there hugging flags and kissing model spaceships or whatever.
I get it. So can you inform me a little bit more of what Space Force's job will be when they're completely up and running? Do you know?
They're in sort of a development phase at this point, right? So they're being split off from the Air Force, sort of like how the Air Force was split off from the Army. Back in the day, you had the Army Air Corps. So it was just like a little subdivision of the Army that we did all of our like air stuff with. And then eventually when they realized like, oh, this is like a lot of stuff's going to be happening in the air. We can't really run it all through the Army. The Army's not like specialized for that. They spun it off into its own branch. So the Space Force is currently like under the Navy. It's sort of its own thing, but sort of like how the Marines are. I mean, sorry, it's under the Air Force, not the Navy. But it's sort of like how the Marines are under the Navy. The Space Force is under the Air Force. And I suspect over time it will grow and become more and more its own branch and with all of its own stuff. But they're borrowing a ton from the Air Force right now.
So what exactly is the mission? What is the purpose of a Space Force?
So at this point, a lot of it is focused on satellites. Russia, China, other people are putting up satellites like crazy. And they're doing all sorts of things. I just read an article the other day. The Russians put up a satellite, and our intelligence agencies were watching it. And so it went up. They announced it, successful, blah, 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 blah. We kept watching it. About 10 days later, a piece of it split off.
Oh, shit.
Like intentionally split off. It was like basically a double satellite. So they announced one, but it's really two satellites. So China and Russia are putting things up in the air. We don't know exactly what those things do. There's treaties in place that people are supposed to be abiding by, but who knows if they're actually doing it. It's becoming more and more a place where humans are going to be. And we need an agency that's focused on that. We need a branch that's focused on that specifically. And eventually we're going to have moon bases. China is already working towards getting a moon base. They may even have one at this point that we don't know about. But they are putting a ton of money into their space programs. All that money that Americans spent on cheap Chinese plastic stuff over the past, 30 years or so.
Yep.
They're taking all that money and they're investing it. And one big, huge place they're investing it in is their space capabilities.
Well, that was the joke I was going to make. They don't have space bases on the moon. They'll make their own moon, like they made their own islands off of China.
That's possible, yeah. I heard an interview with or a speech that Robert Bigelow. Are you familiar with Robert Bigelow?
I am not.
He's a guy who runs an aerospace company called Bigelow Aerospace. They make these one of the things that they do that they've kind of been known for is they make these inflatable pods.
Well, I give them an F on naming it because that is unoriginal as fuck.
Well,
at least SpaceX is cool, right?
Right. They don't have the hit branding that Musk is known for.
That's why I've never heard of them.
They're not quite as right. They're not as trolly as he is. But yeah,
I like the way you put that. He's definitely a troll. We'll get to that here.
He is a troll for sure. But yeah,
I can appreciate the game.
Bigelow makes these inflatable pods. Basically, he wants to put up an inflatable hotel where you could fly up with Virgin Galactic or somebody. It would park in this space hotel, and you'd sleep there for the night or a couple nights, and then come back down and get to experience zero G for a while. He's also he built a module and just dropped it in space, and it floated for a while, and they monitored it, and then they built another one and actually attached it to the International Space Station and inflated it, and have just been watching to see what happens. And so far, everything went off without a hitch. It inflated perfectly. It's been inflated up there. As far as I haven't heard any news that anything's gone wrong with it. So they're cool. When they're packed down, they're about a third the size they are when you inflate them. So you can fly a lot more structure up at one time and then just inflate them once they get up into space.
So, okay, the question I'd like to pose to you at this moment is we've got all this private investment into space, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's not a government endeavor, is that going to result in a very bougie class system where space is only going to be accessible to the very rich?
That is entirely possible, and that is definitely a concern for sure. I am absolutely a proponent that space should be open to all of us, and that I'm also a big proponent of knowledge should be open to all of us. You know, I don't like that these silos are put around things. Basically, I think it benefits small amounts of people to the detriment of large amounts of people. But that being said, there are benefits to capitalism that you don't get out of a lot of other systems. This fierce competition between organisms, entities that you get out of capitalism creates some things that are just unbelievable. That's not the only way of doing it, but that is a way that it does happen. But
what does capitalism
I'm personally
Give me an example of something.
Yeah, of what?
Something capitalism that this fierce innovation has created.
I mean, Silicon Valley is a perfect example of that. You drop a whole bunch of people with these ideas of this new thing, and they all compete like hell against each other, and you get these new ideas that people have never seen before because everybody wants to create the new Google or the new, whatever it is. It drives innovation. Where a lot of times in other systems, you get like stagnation, basically. But there's advantages to other systems, too. I believe in diversity of systems. I like the fact that these systems compete with each other. I don't want any one single system to be the system that rules them all. You know what I feel? I just feel like any system you put in as the one system inevitably becomes corrupt, and it just is a different kind of bad. Whatever you put in, it just becomes a different kind of bad. And I think you need checks and balances on everything. I mean, that's why the founding fathers of America put checks and balances into our government, because they recognized that. They didn't understand fully because they only had the knowledge they had up until that point. But they at least acknowledged it as a problem and were trying to do things to mitigate that.
Okay, so
by having, the multiple branches and not having a king, and and a democratic system where everybody votes, and so everybody gets a say in what happens. And I know it's gotten messed up and it's not perfect and we haven't done it all right, but the idea was there. The kernel of the idea was there.
We're getting really far off topic here. I want to go back to the capitalism breeds innovation thing. You use Silicon Valley as an example, and
yeah.
We had a commenter bring up something, and I want to bring that up in a second. But my point would be that all the things that Silicon Valley thrived off of were innovations of government. The internet being the DARPANET program, cell phones
sure.
Being the product
of they absolutely
the Soviet
feed
satellites,
each other.
Soviet technology. NASA contributed. Yeah,
NASA gives away a ton of their research to private industry that then gets turned into business-making enterprises.
That gets turned into fucking scams that are marketed back to us. This is technology that we invested into, and then it's being sold back to us at a severe markup. Not only the severe markup, but capitalism breeds in things like forced obsolescence. And then you get new iPhone line every fucking year, and you get very little upgrade.
True.
You get the wars in the hospital where they're fucking.
But capitalism gave us the iPhone.
I don't know what you mean by that, though. Cellular technology is the product of the USSR. I don't know what the iPhone did other than package already existing ideas into a flashy marketing tool.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as I see that as stifling innovation.
If I create the most brilliant object, right? And it does this thing that's like incredible, but I can't get anyone to understand what that thing is or how it could benefit them, then it dies with me in the darkness, and it never becomes a thing that does anything. So it takes all these things. Believe me, I'm not just saying capitalism's all sunshine and roses. It gets perverted too all the time. It gets perverted all the time. Like, lots of bad stuff happens because of capitalism. But I'm just saying there are good things that happen because of capitalism too. Like back to the example of the iPhone, Steve Jobs took all these ideas. He foresaw something being useful to people he did steal a lot of ideas. That's unfortunately how the business works a lot of the time. Sure, but there needs to be other entities keeping things in check. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, government doesn't do everything well either. You know what I mean? But NASA's done incredible things, but it takes them forever to do anything. I work in government. Trust me, I know. It takes me forever to convince anybody to do anything.
I am in awe of how amazing the government can function. It just does it like it's not designed to function for us. It's not designed. It functions well for the people that it works for. We saw that with the first coronavirus bill.
Sure.
That took care of business, big corporations quite well. As we can see with the fact that Wall Street rebounded, like that was a fantastic bill for them, and government was able to mobilize. I'm in awe of it. I've seen the way it can function. We just have to take over the mechanisms.
It can do really terrible things too.
Absolutely, you are correct.
Look at Iraq and Afghanistan.
It is our war machine.
It's a complicated thing. It's not a simple this or that. It's done great good and great terror, but that's like most things, you know what I mean? Like most things are multifaceted, and it's our job to try and magnify the good elements of the things that we're involved in, I believe. I don't know. Ultimately, I think we need a new system. I don't know what that is. I think it's coming. I think it's just going to evolve naturally.
I like the idea of competition, but I think people put a hell of a lot more emphasis on it, than what I think. If you give people resources, if you set people up, they will automatically innovate on their own because we're creative bastards. And I feel that
I think some of that will happen, but I also think competition absolutely drives action and innovation. When people love competing. I mean, look at how many sports we have and how nuts people were going when no sports were happening on television. We love competition. We love other people competing. We love watching people competing. We love competing ourselves. Look at how big video games are and how big the esports world has blown up. I mean, there's billions of dollars being pumped into that now.
But does that create better products, or does that create, like, man, you want to talk about the video game industry, like, you've got, like, Ubisoft all the fucking time throwing out titles. You got EA with their loot boxes and stuff. But then on the other route, you've got Rockstar that takes its time, and they're the biggest company in the world. And they don't resort to those shitty marketing gimmicks. But like
I say, bring it all on. Let's see what happens.
I feel like without,
I've gotten sucked into those little dumb games, you know what I'm saying, where you start playing and you've been playing for a couple of months and you're like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm just like clicking this thing. But you need to see that. You need to see that that's a thing that's possible and learn how to adapt to that. And if that's not a thing that's healthy for you, then learn how to get rid of it out of your life.
I just feel like capitalism produces more bullshit than anything, and just like all kinds of it. And I use the example of like, man, you may be a little too young for this. In full disclosure, like, Ben here is my friend. Like, we know each other. That's how I knew what he was wanting to talk about. I didn't know it was you at first. I picked up on it and I recognized the voice. But like,
I'm glad to see you're doing your own show, man. Let me just say that real quick. This was a conversation we had like way back in the day, back at ETSU. You were complaining that people weren't giving you a shot. That like, people weren't allowing you to do your thing. And I was like, this is the new age, man. You got to just do it yourself, put it all together. And here you are, dude, doing it. I applaud you.
It takes, like, this microphone wasn't cheap. all this equipment I am surrounded by wasn't cheap. It took several years of doing things for other people and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
To finance this.
Got to pay the piper.
So I'm hoping.
But doesn't it almost make it sweeter though, in a way? And I know like it sucks. A lot of people get stuff handed to them, but doesn't it make it sweeter when you like work your ass off and you like get a thing and you paid for it and it's yours and you get to then create with it? I feel like it almost makes you appreciate it more. I see a lot of people who are given everything and who don't have any adversity in their life, and they're mostly pretty boring.
Well, I mean, it's like I posted the freaking news from earlier today. Like, that freaking news would have got me fired. It would have got me fired from terrestrial radio, and now no one can say anything fucking to me. And that is something that I'm so proud of. And I'm sitting here in my apartment, and it's a nice apartment,
and you're not marrying yourself to a platform, which I think is great too. Like, embrace all the benefits of all of them. You know what I mean? And then that way, if one of them does do something that's not great, you can just be like, well, we're just going to close that down and keep rolling and do something else,
Facebook. Well, that was the thing. Was it started as a Facebook show, and I'm like, well, fuck. Facebook doesn't even let me on here most of the time. So we're gonna have to do something else. But maybe I finally cracked the code. It's been a while since I've been in Facebook.
I think that's what I was going to say. I like that you've been able to crack the code, because it has been a while since you've been banned.
Well, it's for those that don't know, I like to insult people online, and I've had to develop almost a new language to be able to insult people without violating Facebook's rules on harassment. And that's where the right wingers or morons come from. That's the thing I can say. And everybody knows what I mean when I say it.
Good workaround.
Yeah. Another one is it's a shame Facebook doesn't let me call people dumb fucks anymore.
So let me get back to my main point. My main point with all this, right?
Let's do it. I like to dance around, man. I like to.
Sure. No. I'm good with it too, man. I like talking about all sorts of things.
All right, cool.
So here's my main point and why space is so important to me. It's been important to me for a while, but in 2017 there was a New York Times article that revealed that there at least up to a certain point was an active UFO program going on in the U.S. military, and this was corroborated by the Department of Defense. So they have. And then, weirdly, Tom DeLonge comes around and releases some videos that everybody thought was nonsense, only to then have it corroborated by the Navy, who is the ones who recorded the videos, that there are these vehicles in our skies moving around in ways we don't understand.
Objects.
And we have been
vehicles.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, you're right, because we don't know that there's anything in it. It could just be, who knows. There are objects in our skies, large objects in our skies, moving in ways that we don't understand how they're moving. And they're doing things that we don't understand. One of the pilots who shot one of the videos said it was reacting to him.
A commenter said what appear to be objects. Let's correct ourselves here.
Sure.
Well, one of the things that because you have plenty of experience in film, and you know as well as I do, but you are correct that we have eyewitness accounts and corroborating video on top of it.
Correct. There's a lot of evidence. Now, I'm not sold one way or the other. It's something I really want to believe, but I feel like you really have, if that's the case, then you have to be extra skeptical. But the fact that New York Times is writing articles about it and the military is saying, nope, yep, this is happening. There's stuff going on in our skies that we don't understand. So couple that with, if you just understand nature and the way that nature works, right? If, with as large as the universe is, the chance that we are special and alone in this one special little spot is like super low. The chance that there are other creatures, right? So the chance that there are other creatures out there is pretty high. If you look at nature, there's predators up and down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like, not all of them, but enough of them. Predators exist in nature in all sorts of different ecosystems that pop up here on Earth. So all sorts of different environments, you get all sorts of different types of predators. You get sharks in the ocean and wolves in the mountains and bears and, lions and tigers, depending on where you are, different predators pop up. So if we're living in essentially like a galactic jungle, then chances are there's predators out there.
I mean, the universe itself kind of is a predator.
That is an excellent point, and another especially good reason why we need to be banding together to work this shit out. Because space is a killer, man. There's rocks raining down on our head all the time. There are sunbursts happening from stars. It's crazy out there.
The amount with all the amount of shit that can go on, the fact that we've lived in relatively calm period in this relatively calm space in space. It's kind of
seriously. I mean, and really, we have had things happen. It's just on our time scale, our little tiny time scale, we've had a relative period of calm. But I mean, stuff's crashing into the Earth all the time.
Absolutely. We've got it's going to be a pretty minor asteroid if it hits, correct? Like the day before Election Day?
Yeah, from what I heard about that one, it's not going to be anything. I heard some people talking about it, and it's more so just the story of like, oh, there's an asteroid, of course, on the day before election, but it's apparently not very big.
Yeah. It has a slither of a chance of hitting us, but it also, if it does hit us, it's just going to be Chihuahua's brain.
That's how celestial bodies, one-way celestial bodies are made. Rocks slam together, and they eventually coalesce into a ball, and then that ball becomes a planet.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how the universe works. So I feel like this is like an all hands on deck situation that we're in. And we just can't seem to focus. And that's why I really have a hard time getting behind Trump. Because I feel like he causes the worst ADD imaginable. Because 1 second he's talking about one thing, the next second he's talking about something else, the next second he's contradicting the first thing he said just like 5 minutes ago, and like he's inciting violence, and then he's telling everybody to be peaceful. I mean, he's creating chaos in a world that is already way too chaotic to begin with.
Did you hear the audio I played earlier? The Woodward audio?
Yes.
Are you in agreement with me that he sounds more cogent than when he's in his public persona?
Because he has different characters that he plays. He's a television personality. He knows when he's on camera, he needs to be a certain thing, and when he's talking to this audience, he needs to do a certain thing to get a response out of them. He's good at it. He's a good showman. He puts on a good show most of the time, not always. He has some misses.
Well, I got to the point where I just thought he was really fucking dumb. I just like
No, I don't think he's dumb.
I don't think he's smart.
He's not as smart as he says he is.
But I don't know if he's quite as.
I think in certain regards he's smart, just because he's lived a very intense life. I mean, he had a rich father who gave him a bunch of money. He's like hobnobbing around the high society in New York, like
ugly.
He's like flying all over the world and meeting world leaders. I mean, that alone, even if you're not like a genius, is going to give you a certain perspective on things that like the average person doesn't get. And then you couple that with like, he actually does understand media and like agitation and branding, and like he understands that world of things. So you couple this like unusual upbringing with his like showmanship, and it's an interesting combination. It's not, I don't think it's good for us long term. I don't think he should have been president to begin with. It shocked the crap out of me that people were willing to give him a chance.
I want to posit this, that maybe he's not so good with media, but maybe he's charismatic and all, but he stumbled into the right audience with the right message. Like, man,
I agree.
Trolling.
He adopted a message that worked for him. Yeah.
I would appeal
because this
so
is really
much more
this
to
is
right
about him and what he wants to get.
But no, like my technique of owning people and mocking people, it would appeal to the right far more than the left wing. So if I was to switch gears and go right wing, I could sell out.
Oh, they would love you.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I'm better than any of those motherfuckers. So I think that's
you're not highbrow enough for the left. Because they do the same thing, but it's a little bit more snooty when they do it.
Yeah. They like the dumb fucking.
It's like
they don't like substance.
It's like Stephen Colbert. It has to have some like. It has to be layered and nuanced. They're like trolling.
Man, Colbert, like he is. I thought he stumbled a little bit when he first went to CBS, but man, he's really. And even
he's funny.
All the side projects that tuning out the news and just even him being at home, man, he's done a great job just from his fucking living room. Like I'm in awe of the talent that man has.
Seriously. Yeah, he's a smart dude. But he is essentially kind of a troll for the left. And Seth Meyers is another one. He's bad. Almost every show he's talking about Trump. He's trolling.
It's hard when you're doing a topical show not to. Like,
sure.
You know, I agree with that.
That your caller was saying that at the top of your show was saying, like, why do you talk about Trump all the time? And I was like, you nailed it. Like, it's hard not to. He won't stop talking. He won't stop. You know, he's the president. He has so much influence, and he needs so much attention. He can't turn it off. You know what I mean?
I don't, especially given the fact that, like, what can you say about Trump that hasn't been said already? And, like, I'm tired of it.
Exactly.
That was one of the things that, like, I'm hoping Biden wins, not because I'm excited for his policies, but I'm just
we have something different to talk about.
Yeah, and get back to a little bit more boring minutia kind of shit.
Sure. I would love to go like a week without hearing about the president.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to do that because I'm a news junkie. But, you know, it'll be nice to go a day without hearing the president do something fucking absolutely goddamn stupid.
Sure. I feel like Biden will at least take some days off.
You know, like, there's still a news cycle and everything. He's still going to be in it, and, like, he'll come up. But it won't just be, like, every day, like, God damn, what this stupid motherfucker do. Oh.
Yeah.
And it's just going, and it seems like...
It just feels relentless.
It seems like I think there's a coordinated media effort right now, and it was profitable for Bob Woodward, and, like, fuck him for laying it on that book. But I feel like there's a coordinated media effort that we're just going to see story after story after story just drop up until the election. That was the Biden campaign plan. It's like, we've got this much ammunition with our media allies, and this is how we're going to assault him. And we're not going to let him have time to breathe. And that might be a good strategy. I don't know.
It might be. Yeah.
Or it might wear people out, and people are just fucking tired of, like... Because Trump's opposite strategy of that side is to try to paint Biden as just as dirty as him. So if it's just mud, that might play right into Trump's hands. I don't know. I'm sorry, you wanted to talk about space.
When he fights dirty better than just about anybody around. I mean, he beat out every Republican. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were a whole bunch of Republicans who were good at slinging mud until Trump came along.
That was a weak ass.
And then they didn't know what they hit. They didn't know what hit them.
Oh, let me add, your senator is on the short list of the SCOTUS.
Oh, good Lord.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
No, Cruz.
I like MJ Hager. I'm sure she's not perfect, but she seems a sight better than what we got currently. So
I was talking about Cruz. Cruz is on Trump's list for the Supreme Court.
Oh, God.
Oh, did you not hear about that?
Horrible idea. No, I did see that. I thought you were talking about our senator coming up for election, Cornyn.
No,
the other one. Yeah, Cruz barely kept his seat against old Beto.
He's on. Trump had released his list of possible SCOTUS appointments.
Yeah, that doesn't scare you. I don't know what does. Look, the man's the Zodiac killer. We can't put him on the Supreme Court.
I mean, if he really was the Zodiac killer, that would be like, you know, because who knows more about justice than, you know, a serial killer? They know the justice system, especially one that's eluded being fucking caught. Who knows the justice system better than them? Come on, motherfucker. You just sold me on it.
Right.
Ted Cruz for the Supreme Court. I'm down.
But yeah, back to space. Basically, I think
Elon Musk is a fraud.
This is all hand. I disagree completely. He's a lot of things.
Well, you can be wrong.
The man's not a fraud. He is a genius in the way that too many people use the word genius and are wrong. Like, he is legit a genius. I've seen a lot of people who the word gets thrown around, and I'm like, no, you work hard and you do good stuff, but, like, settle down now.
Kanye is a musical genius. I will give him that.
That's about the only thing.
A motherfucking lyrical genius.
he makes good music, but he should stick to that.
I didn't like the God album.
He needs to stick to that. He makes good cars. He needs to stick to that too.
I like the album before the God album, the Jesus is King or whatever the fuck. That album sucked.
I don't know, man. I fell off with Kanye. I couldn't keep listening to him.
Elon doesn't make shit though. He abuses employees who make shit. That's what exactly has Elon done?
He put together Tesla. He put together Solar City. He merged the two together. He built SpaceX from the ground up. He brought electric cars to market and made them cool when no one else could seem to figure out how to do that.
He stole Tesla from 2 engineers, is what the commenter said. I do believe that's correct. And also Tesla would have gone under without SpaceX would have gone under without the government contract. And that's what allowed him to save Tesla, correct, during the 2008 recession?
Well, the government wanted private industry doing what he's doing. So they had an active interest in investing in him.
Who voted on this? I don't want private industry doing what he's doing.
Do what?
I don't want private industry doing what he's doing. Who voted on this?
I mean, the people who elected Trump in who's not doing anything. I want fully funded NASA too, because I don't want any one company dictating how we interact with space. I think it needs to be a petri dish of ideas, just like everything else is. Like, I think we need private industry, a bunch of different private industries. I don't want just Elon Musk being the only one taking people to space.
It's another thing the commenter brought up.
More companies involved.
The commenter brought up the fact that, he called the dude a pedo for the toy submarine thing. You did look that up, because I mentioned that the other day. You weren't familiar with that, were you?
Oh, the pedo thing?
Yeah, he called the dude the pedo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, he absolutely did that. He didn't like his toy submarine. I was shocked that he got away with it, personally.
Well, then the ventilator thing.
His excuse was the best. So he was like, we just, in South Africa, we all call each other pedos. It's like not a big deal. And they're like, I mean, I guess everybody down there calls each other pedos.
It is true. Like,
but yeah, no,
his Twitter followers. He poor guy that's trying to say this, that did save those kids.
Flaws. He definitely has a lot of character flaws.
He's a giant piece of shit that has a lot of money that has convinced you that he's smart somehow, and I don't know why.
I mean, have you watched interviews with him at all?
Yes, he looks like an idiot.
He's an actual engineer. Like, he's a legit engineer. He's not like Jeff Bezos, who's essentially just a business guy. Oh. And you want to talk about a predatory company, we should be talking about Amazon. But I get it. That's
absolutely.
What do you call that?
I totally think Amazon is a predatory company.
Amazon's predatory as hell. He is an engineer. He's definitely
the unbreakable car thing. Oh, bulletproof window smash. Here we go. Are you still? You're behind on the stream.
No, I watched that too.
Yeah.
I watched that too.
So, like, the dude, like, everything he touches is shit.
No, I get it.
Yeah, Amazon being bad doesn't make Elon a good person.
He's trying to bring internet to everybody, which I think is freaking awesome.
Well, that's not,
or at least the chance at access.
When did he engineer
when a lot of companies are just like, nope, I'm not going to do that.
I don't like the fact that you have given dumbass Elon Musk credit for the work of so many hardworking individuals. That's just some bourgeoisie propaganda
obviously,
bullshit.
I understand it's not just him. I understand that it's not just him.
Apparently, he's not even
a person.
It
takes a person with vision and with perseverance.
And he has done no work in the field of physics.
If Elon Musk didn't exist, there would be no SpaceX.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Whether he put every bolt or piece in or not, he is the driving force behind the company. And when all sorts of people were telling him he was never going to get a rocket off the ground, he fought through all of that and got the right people together on the right team.
The government invested into it. Like, I'm not impressed by a private company that had to have the government prop it up.
The government invested in a bunch of different companies, and a bunch of them haven't even produced yet. And he was able to. He fulfilled what they were seeking to get with that investment. And government does that all the time. They invest in private industry all the time to try and spur innovation.
Okay, but that's not Elon then, you know? That's not his genius idea.
And Elon is able to send rockets into space for a fraction of the price that NASA was able to do it.
Is that true? I don't know enough about that.
Money. I mean, just to send astronauts up into space with the Russians to buy a seat was like $25 million for one seat on a Russian Soyuz. And he's sending the whole, I don't know the exact price, but like he's sending it for basically like a third of what NASA was able to send them for. And they're working on ways to lower the cost even further. A big part of that is making the rockets reusable, which was his idea. And yeah, of course, he had a bunch of engineers who worked with him to get that technology to work right, but he envisioned it and worked till it actually happened. And now we're seeing videos that look like friggin' rockets from the 1950s sci-fi stuff landing vertically on pads. That is incredible, man. If you watch that and you don't think that's incredible, like, you're out of your mind.
How do I know that was Elon Musk? Apparently, the commenter says that he has no engineering degree and that he's never had a job as an engineer. That his only claim to fame was that he wrote some code for PayPal, or the company that became PayPal, and that they actually ditched the code because it sucked. And I remember seeing that his code wasn't compatible with like everybody else's code, and they had to ditch it. Like after he got out of the company.
Let me just say, I am in no way like a Elon Musk fanboy or
I think you're an Elon
Musk apologist.
I'm sure he has his character flaws.
Do what?
I think you totally are, man. All right, man. Usually I'll go late on the show.
My overarching point is that we should be doing everything in our power to get out into space. And Elon Musk is a person putting an incredible amount of energy and pressure into that endeavor and seeing results in a way that nobody else has been able to do.
Apparently there's a Behind the Bastards episode on Elon Musk. I did not know that.
I'll check it out.
But Robert's
I'm
podcast
sure he's
is amazing.
I believe it. The guy's got issues.
But
he's funny though, and he does cool stuff.
Usually I'd go long when I have a call, but we're doing the poker thing tonight. I messaged you earlier. I wish you could join us on the poker.
Oh, that's no worries, man. No worries. I'll call in some other time. We'll keep chatting.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, man. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too, man. Good chatting with you.
All right. Peace out. All right. That'll do it for us tonight. As I said, we've got... I will do that. I will check in with you if I'm not passed out, man. I don't know how long we're going to go. This is our first night for poker. I don't know if you got a PlayStation or not. If anybody's listening, you're on the PlayStation. My PlayStation ID is JustinFREAKIN. We're doing politics and poker at 10 o'clock Eastern. This is our first night for it. You can check out the stream on Twitch. That's going to be a Twitch exclusive show.